Hello, I'm Regina Rowland, and I will be introducing you to SDG 1 slide deck. The main goal for SDG 1 is to end poverty in all its forms everywhere on the planet. We can think of poverty in three ways. There is absolute poverty, which means living at the edge of livelihood. There's relative poverty, which means a critical shortage of goods and limited chances for success in life. And there is something called perceived poverty, which is a subjective feeling and awareness of its own situation or dismay. Then we can think of poverty as a loop, a vicious cycle actually, so the poverty loop, where someone's economic situation, their income level that they're able to reach, and their health and well-being that they're able to live are integrated and influence each other in a negative loop, so to speak, where they really can't get out of it without help. Then there's also five particular targets, and 2 measures to work on for SDG 1. We have a report from 2020 that gives us the information about the global situation on SDG 1. And we have a very nice website with European statistics where you can go and look up different aspects of poverty and compare different countries to get the lay of the land of what's going on in Europe in terms of SDG 1 contributions. When we look at Austria, we can see that poverty is not really an issue in Austria, except for some populations, in particular, for instance, women who have a very low retirement income because they raised children and didn't collect the years to have a higher pension. So there's definitely something to work on, and we can see that about 17% in 2018 were living sort of at risk of poverty or at the poverty level. Only 2.5% of the population in Austria received this minimum income benefit, so that's a very low number compared to other figures in Europe. The main issues for Austria to solve are affordable housing, and those numbers are going up. They're increasing every year, so housing becomes more and more unaffordable in Austria, especially in urban areas. Chronic illnesses and unemployment. So now let's think about what organizations could do to contribute to SDG 1. When we do this work, we want to think about the core purpose of an organization, who the stakeholders are that are participating in the system, how the issue of SDG 1 poverty impacts the organization, and what challenges and costs emerge from that impact, as well as what opportunities arise at the same time. And then we think about what contributions an organization could make from inward, from inside the organization, where they control all the aspects that they need in order to make that contribution, and also outward actions where they can impact what's going on, but maybe not control all the aspects of it. So let's look at educational institutions. The purpose of an educational institute is, of course, to educate and train for life, for particular professions, and do so free of charge, or at least affordable for everybody living in that country. In terms of SDG 1, the educational institutions should make sure that people can return to work, get continuously educated. So if they fall out of work, they have other options, and adapt to changing conditions. For instance, an inward action could be to provide scholarships, equipment, and additional coaching to people that live at the poverty level or close to it. An outward action could be to reach out and support the vulnerable populations. Let's look at municipalities, so towns or cities or villages. The task in SDG 1 lies here in bringing people and resources together to reduce the risk of poverty in the region. So an example for inward action could be to connect needy public service staff, so internal, with social organizations to help them further along. Also to train public service staff to practice servant leadership and compassion, and to recognize poverty in the community. Because poverty is also associated with shame, so people are not really showing up and saying, I'm so poor, I need this or that. But there are signs that will allow somebody trained in the genre to recognize that there's a need, and then they can help fill that need without making the person feel bad. An outward action could be to organize collective help in the community for people in need. Organizations in general, corporations, for or nonprofit organizations. In terms of SDG 1, the opportunity is here to pay the employees a really decent wage and create conditions that are conducive to work for people with different needs. So an inward action could be, of course, to offer a fair pay, also assuring that people are not getting poor in old age, so pensions, pension plans, and things like that. And to integrate a concept of prosperity for all in the core purpose of the company. An outward action could be to partner with organizations that mitigate poverty and unemployment, or to subsidize housing for employees in need. Our slide deck then continues with an activity where you think about your own organization or organization of your choice and go through that same kind of reflective activity that allows you then to design inward and outward actions that contribute to SDG 1. And then it goes on with some reflection questions about SDG 1 in general, further infos, and turns then to another activity called the SDG Journey, where we want you to go out in your environment and find evidence of poverty and mitigations that help reduce it, as well as look for the opposite. So carefree abundance, and also to think about what are the circumstances in life that lead people to one or the other end of the spectrum. Always make sure that you're allowed to take photos, that it's appropriate to take photos and possible to do so. That was it for SDG 1, and I'll see you in another set. Thank you.